Morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. We'd like to thank you for joining the webinar in partnership with Nomad here, allowing us to have this platform to give you more information about empowered startups and our Portugal HQA offering. I have Chris Lennon, our president, as well. He'll give you a brief overview of empowered startups. Then I will get into the exact HQA, our Portugal HQA program. And following, we do have a lot of questions as well that panelists and attendees have already submitted. So we'll go over that and we'll compare it to some other programs that people might be considering as well. So with that, I'll leave it up to you, Chris. I know people are joining this webinar as we speak, but it's also being recorded and it will be emailed to a lot of people as well.
Okay, thanks very much, Sunny. Hello, everyone. As Sunny mentioned, I'm Chris Lennon, President and General Counsel of Empowered Startups. Empowered's been around for, about 16 years, but sort of as relevant to what we're talking about today, we really cut our teeth in Canada over the last decade, being one of the most significant deal flow providers to the Canadian government in their investor entrepreneur category. In Canada, it's called the Startup Visa Program. And we got involved with the Canadian government doing that back in 2014 when it was a very new program. That's led us to also run entrepreneurial-based investment programs in Alberta, province of Canada, France, the US, and Portugal. And of course, Portugal is what we're talking about today. We really launched the program in Portugal a little over 5 years ago now. The concept at the time was to bring everything great about the Canadian program, add a few other things that could make it even better, and build a very similar program in Portugal. And that's effectively what we've done. And obviously, you've taken some note of that, and that's why you're listening in today. So I'll turn it back over to Sunny to get into what I think is the core topic, and that's our HQA program, which is our investor entrepreneur program in Portugal.
Okay, thanks, Chris. I'm going to share my screen here and go over our brochure and program offering. And everyone will receive a copy of this brochure following the webinar, shortly after, within a few hours of the webinar. So if you did have any questions after, you can always reach out to us, reach out to Nomad Gate. We'll be able to assist you with that. Second here. Okay, here we go. Here's our beautiful brochure. So HQA stands for Highly Qualified Activity. It's our Portugal HQA visa program. It's considered the best-in-class business immigration program in Europe. We are the government of Portugal's official partner for fast-tracking business people to Portugal. So we are the only government-endorsed entity to deliver this program. We built this program in partnership with the government since 2019 and key stakeholders in Portugal. It's a fast-track path to EU residency and citizenship. It's specifically designed for business professionals, domain experts, and entrepreneurs. You don't necessarily need to have any startup experience, but you do have to be qualified in one of these expertise, whether it be academic, entrepreneurial, or subject matter expert. Currently, we are unable to deliver this program from any nationals who have citizenship from sanctioned nations. It may be possible if there's a secondary citizenship elsewhere, but we are just unable to facilitate the program through paperwork to deliver this program with our partners at the time. So how it all works is you are a qualifying investor and you'll join our full service R&D program. As a highly qualified candidate, we align your R&D with one of Portugal's accredited research institutions. We're currently partnered with approximately 25 right now in Portugal. We've been making those relationships since 2019. So you're in that 3-year program to oversee the research. We establish a new Portuguese company for you. You're 100% owner of that company. And the goal is to commercialize or the results of the R&D or seed any other opportunity. So most of the time, founders coming into this program, they have a specific focus of R&D that they want to create a solution or create a business platform on. So we align your credentials with R&D at one of the accredited universities in a matchmaking thing. So it's more what university is able to handle the R&D, which has the best possible outcome of commercialization and success. So it's not like you're going to end up in an open spot. We actually want the R&D and the business to be a success. So in the ideation phase, that's up until your immigration appointment, all the details of the R&D, which university it's going to land at, the exact team members, depending on the scope of R&D, can land at one or more universities. So the HQA visa allows accomplished professionals to balance their competing demands of running their existing businesses and lives internationally while seeding an option of their future in Portugal. This is a big one. Many of our founders in our program are running multiple businesses, they're subject matter experts that were in a demanding field. So, a lot of people do not have the time to hunker down and start a new R&D. So with this program, we are balancing your competing demands of making this program work to you. Some people are active in the R&D and some people are passive. It all depends on your circumstance, but we will do all the lifting and pretty much put everything together for you where you're able to run it from abroad or in person if you are residing in Portugal. Majority of the people in this program are currently not residing in Portugal. They're waiting for their 5 years and they're still continuing their work and their businesses globally while seeding that option. So this is an interesting one. So the program cost is 175,000 euro. That includes everything to do with our program. There's no extra costs going to be associated with it other than your documentation and filing fee at AMA, the immigration body for Portugal. And that is under 300 euro per applicant. It's a fast track path to residency and citizenship. We're typically getting our initial residency permits for our clients in 4 months or under. So it's extremely quick if you compare it to any other program. Family members are included. That would be parents over the age of 65, spouses, children 25 or under if they're still dependent. A big one with this is there's no burdensome residency requirements for qualified candidates. So there is an exemption in the Portuguese law. If you're away for cultural or business purposes, there is an exemption there. And the way our program is designed, it is specifically for business professionals, domain experts, and entrepreneurs. So many of these people are running businesses globally. So they highly would qualify for that residency exemption. And we can also provide assistance with our university partners, helping with that if needed. Significant tax benefits to come to those who reside in Portugal. So the old NHR tax system does apply to founders in our program. So you get the same tax benefits and perks with that old NHR system, since this is an investment into scientific development and research. So that's a good perk. There's no business performance requirements. This is another big one. So regardless of the outcome of your R&D project or the corporation that's set up for you, it does not affect your immigration journey whatsoever. You would have already come to Portugal, engaged in startup, engaged in leading a team of PhD students, master students on a highly qualified activity at a research project at a university. So you are already stimulating the economy and infrastructure of Portugal by startup and education. So this program is allowing master students, PhD students, and professors to work on R&D projects in Portugal as opposed to going abroad. So the government's really happy that that talent is being retained locally. We provide full service immigration and corporate legal services. So everything is included for your initial residency permit. The residency permit we get for you is good for 2 years. At the 2-year mark, we actually moved to doing the renewals online. We have a very high, pretty much 100% success rate with the renewals at the 2-year mark. So we moved to streamlining that online. It's a priority program for the government of Portugal. So that's why it's extremely fast processing. A program like this, where it's bringing business professionals, domain experts, and entrepreneurs, stimulating startup and education in Portugal. The government really likes a program like this that's bringing this kind of highly qualified activity. That is why you see extremely fast processing times, extremely fast renewals as well. The no tax fast. Here's a little quote from one of our founders in Dubai, Mr. Lee. Fast, no tax consequences, and my whole family quickly received their residency. Excellent service, launching an innovative venture and making deep connections to various Portuguese ecosystems with empowered startups has been smooth and professional. This is our government endorsement ceremony from February 7th of 2023. This is when we became officially endorsed by the government of Portugal. Interesting note about this, the following day is when the government came out announcing the ending of the golden visa real estate portion. So I believe that was on February 8th. So under the authority of the government of Portugal, empowered startups administers and controls selection for the HQA visa. The program was co-created with top R&D institutions in Portugal as a superior upgrade to the Golden Visa program. And here we have the Honorable Minister of Territorial Cohesion and Chris Lennon, our president, at the endorsement. And Ms. Ambrose said, we look at you, empowered startups, as a close friend and partner. This is the partner we want to have by our side. It is the partner for the government, completely aligned with our priorities. The importance of this program is great for the government, for the ministry, and for these territories, taking advantage and recognizing scientific research and technology produced in our universities and polytechnics. It's a great partnership, empowered startups and higher education institutions, the universities and polytechnic institutions. So there's our government endorsements, and we have videos on all this as well. So the steps to get into this program, first of all, you would have to prepare your credentials to us so we can verify if you are a qualified candidate or not. If you're qualified, you'll receive an offer to join the HQA visa program. Once you're accepted, once the funds are remitted, then the R&D starts. You will be allocated a dedicated legal and operational team to secure all the necessary documents and expressions of the support, including related to your ID of the R&D project. We will support all these efforts by authorizing and securing requisite biographical data and documents needed. You will then travel to Portugal to secure the residence permit, initiate R&D project, and begin the 3 years concierge incubation program. During the steps, we assist you with all this stuff. So during the R&D incubation phase, that does not start until you're accepted and the university letter of invitation is received. So we secure all that. So you will have a say in the R&D project with the university. If it's not up to your standard, you don't move forward with it at that point. You're able to monitor and review the whole R&D from abroad. So we teach you how to do that as well, because most of these people are out of the country. And here's some more quotes. The mission of the HQA program is to move great people to a great country, to support Portugal's R&D startup ecosystem and grow skilled employment opportunities for the Portuguese citizen. So Mr. Clark from Canada, the R&D my startup venture is conducting in Portugal with my leadership team has been industrious. It remains too early to know if this profitable commercialization of the R&D will be realized. However, the startup incubation, immigration, and integration into Portugal has been excellent. Empowered claims the HQA visa allows accomplished business people to balance their competing demands at home while seeding the option of a future in Portugal. I have been able to do exactly that while in the Empowered Incubation Program. So that's the general overview of how the program works. Obviously, we can get into more details for individual case scenarios. But most of the time, if you have a strong academic background, we should be able to qualify you for this program. When we are comparing it to other programs, such as Golden Visa, there's a major differences. First of all, any other program in Portugal, you're looking at about a 1.5 to 2 year wait for your immigration appointment. With this program, your immigration appointment typically comes within 4 months or under. So it's extremely quick. For a golden visa, I think the investment now is currently 500,000 euro, and you have to hold that for 5 years, and you have no control of what it's doing in that fund as well. There is a cheaper option as a contribution to cultural heritage in low density areas as well. I believe that is 200,000, so you do not see any of that capital back. So when you compare the Portugal HQA offering, it's 175,000 euro. You get your own business set up for you. You're facilitating your own R&D, where any commercialization or intellectual property you're the sole beneficiary of. So it's a lot quicker and a lot more options for capital on return, depending on your involvement with the R&D. So that's just comparing it. Chris, do you have any context you want to add to any of this here before we get into some of the Q&A?
No, that's great, Sonny. I mean, I'm happy to provide any context needed, but I understand you've already got some questions coming in, so happy to assist in answering those.
Yeah, so a lot of the questions that have come in are similar or just one-off specific, so just on particular situations. But I'll get a question here for you. Is the HQA visa regime only available for non-EU citizens? Would it be possible to get Portugal tax residence if I am already an EU citizen?
I certainly believe that's the case. We have had other people come through the through the HQA program who have residency in other EU countries. The specific tax nature of that question, I would suggest you want to talk to, well, if you're working with us, want to talk to our tax advisors. I certainly think that would be the case. You can certainly participate in the HQA program if you're already an EU citizen. But again, I'm not a tax lawyer or a professional accountant, so we'd have to direct you there for the particular circumstances that you're facing.
Okay. Here's another one. Are there any personal income tax benefits for the HQA visa holders? We kind of touched on how the NHR benefits pertain to founders in our program. Can you maybe touch on that, Chris?
Yeah, so I mean, if you look up NHR, and again, I suggest you always confirm this with your individual tax advisors, but broadly speaking, the main benefit of the former NHR program, which is ending, was that there was no tax on worldwide income for 10 years, basically a 10-year moratorium. So you can continue to earn income outside of Portugal while being a tax resident of Portugal and not being taxed on that foreign earned income. There are also some lower thresholds for income earned within Portugal, but most of our clients are always looking at the exemption for foreign, or the moratorium, 10-year moratorium for foreign earned income. And as Sonny touched on, the NHR program is coming to a close. It's being replaced by a program that is focused on startup and some other categories. And our program continues to qualify individuals for that revised NHR, call it that. And the tax benefits are essentially the same in that it just it applies to a narrower group of individuals. But the HQA program is one that would qualify you for it because of the investment in research and involvement in the new startup company.
Okay, very nice. Another quick, interesting question here. Apart from having my own idea, is it possible to check what research is happening and participating universities that can be commercialized?
Absolutely. I'd actually say less than a majority of our individuals come in with very specific, research focus. You certainly can do that, but then our job becomes quite difficult in finding a specific lab to pursue exactly what it is that you have on your mind. More often, people come to us; they're highly successful business professionals or domain, sometimes domain experts, and what they know is what they have credentials in, what they bring to the table, and that they want to start something new in Portugal. And that's where we go to work and do exactly what the questioner just referenced. Let them know what is going on that's innovative in some of the multiple labs that we have partnerships with, and almost play like a matchmaking organization. Part of my background is in university industry liaison work and tech transfer. So that's what those offices do all the time is figure out ways to bring industry or industry individuals together with research that's going on in the lab, and essentially working to get things out of the lab. So in many ways, you could think of empowered startups as facilitating that function in sort of a connection base, bringing founders together with the labs and the exciting research that is already being conducted in Portugal, and partnering them up and finding potential new ventures to commercialize as a result.
Okay. We have another question here. Is it possible to do the HQA program without moving to Portugal yet? I would say absolutely. Most of the founders in our program are residing outside of Portugal currently. They're busy in their professions and running their businesses globally. Chris, another question I keep getting here is some more clarity on the residency exemption for the program.
Yeah, so Sunny mentioned it, and if you come through our vetting process and get close to working with us, we can always turn you over to a Portuguese lawyer to give the opinion. But essentially, the in-country stay requirements for the HQA program are the same as for any residency visa in Portugal. But then there's a clear exemption to be outside the country more than the standard if the reason for being outside the country is for business or cultural, and there's a few other subsets that also qualify. By the very nature of who our founders and clients typically are, what we're saying is that often our founders can avail themselves of that exemption because they're working on businesses throughout the world. One of the things that they're often bringing to the table in their new business in Portugal is often also their sales channels and their networks internationally. So part of what our clients are bringing is the prospect of getting whatever's being commercialized in the hands of in foreign markets. So yes, it's possible. It's highly likely, but everyone needs to actually be able to fit into that exemption. You can't, just reside internationally in Gulf for 6 months of the year and expect that you don't have to be in Portugal. It is a program that is giving you a residency visa that most of our clients are pursuing the journey towards permanent residency or citizenship. So, but yes, for those individuals, it's not like all of our entrepreneur programs. They're designed for busy and successful professionals that have the intent to start something new and active in a new jurisdiction, but they're not typically a 19-year-old or 22-year-old fresh out of a grad program that plans to go hunker down in a WeWork office and work 60 hours a week on their new startup, because they've got all kinds of other things on the go. And that's why our program is attractive to that demographic of individual.
Does the program allow participants free travel and full residency rights throughout the Shenzhen region?
You can take that probably, Sunny, right?
Yes, absolutely. You get free mobility with this program in all Shenzhen regions. It's a great program. It's all about wanting to know what your competing demands are for this program. What do you want to come out of it? Do you want fast track residency to the EU? Do you want to start an R&D project? Do you want to get a global business into the EU? Because that can be done. We do set up a corporation for you in Portugal as well. A lot of times that corporation is converted to a subsidiary of a global business to get into the EU market right away. So we offer mentoring, opening up our network into the EU as well. Pretty much we want to make a most successful case for you and your family as possible to getting your residency permit and citizenship. Let's see, next question here is, aside from the 175,000 euro, is there any other funding required for this program? That no, 175,000 euro includes everything to do with the program, the investment into R&D, all your legal services for initial residency permit, for the 2-year renewal mark, 3 years business incubation, access to office space if you are in Portugal, world-class team. So yeah, everything's included in there. You will have to pay a documentation and filing fee at your immigration appointment with AIMA that has to be paid directly. Otherwise, there's no surprise costs. As other programs, you're not going to get a yearly cost with this program at all.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that. So that's correct. There's definitely no additional costs for us. Many of our founders, though, once they have their corporation set up, choose to, because it's like a company in many other common law or democratic countries, capitalist countries. You're not restricted in your company for only commercializing the results of the research that you're pursuing in conjunction with us. So many of our founders will use that company to do other entrepreneurial things. Sonny made reference to they might use it to help access the EU markets for some of their international businesses. So we're not saying that you might not choose to invest further money into your company or engage in other commercial activity that, of course, will create business expenses for you. But yeah, no hidden costs for our program.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing with as well, it's different from a specific startup program as well. You're not required to hire a certain number of employees, maintain a certain revenue target. It's a lot more flexibility in this program if you compare it to any other program that exists. I do have questions about people wanting to know how to schedule a one-on-one meeting. So after this webinar, I'm going to send everybody an email with the program brochure. And there'll be steps in there if you wanted to discuss the program further on a one-on-one meeting. I know there is a lot of one-off questions as well. So I'd be happy to, look at your situation, look at your profile, and answer any questions you may have. This is pretty much at the end of it for all the Q&A. A lot of the questions were pretty similar, so that's good. And I look forward to your feedback and speaking with anybody who is interested. It's definitely worth it to get family members involved if you did want to have an initial introductory discovery call. We're always available for you. Otherwise, I would like to thank everybody for coming out today, hearing about our Portugal HQA program, and I'd look to meeting with everybody soon.
Great. Thanks, Sonny. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.